Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. As Alexandra said, my name is Laura Elfers. I'm the Educational Engagement Director for Silos and Smokestacks. And I thought that is where we would start tonight, is because, or this afternoon, because many people have heard of Silos and Smokestacks. They've seen our signs, but they really don't understand what it is or where it is. And that's due to the name. It's not a particular spot that you can go and visit and say, I've been there, done that, because in our name, it's area. So this is the Webster's Dictionary definition of a national heritage area. I won't read it to you, but essentially it's the natural, cultural, and historical resources that tell a very unique and special story related to the development of the United States, essentially is what a national heritage area are, those four key areas. So to give you an idea, there are 62 national heritage areas across the United States. Each one tells a nationally significant story, and each story is different across those heritage areas. We work to preserve the cultural heritage and integrity of what makes us special in each of those areas across the United States. We partner with the National Park Service. We're managed by a regional organization, and that is, I work for the nonprofit Silos and Smokestacks. I'm not a government agency or government employee. I don't get to wear the cool national park uniform and hat. So, and being partners with the National Park Service, we're eligible for matching federal funds. So just to give you an example of some other heritage areas that you may have visited or didn't know, the Civil War National Heritage Area in Tennessee is the entire state. They are managed by the University of Tennessee. The Blackstone River Valley National Heritage Corridor in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, they tell the mill story, the start of the Industrial Revolution up there. Little closer to home, the Illinois and Michigan Canal, or known as the I&M Canal, transportation of products and the communication or the force of a community. And then Motor Cities up in Detroit telling the automotive story. So why is agriculture important? Why did Congress say, yes, this is an important story to tell? And as many of you know, as instructors for Ag in the Classroom, it's one of the greatest achievements. At one point in our history, 98% of Americans were employed in agriculture. Now it's less than 2%. And as we all know, they are people, our cohorts, the people that we live amongst are losing their connection to agriculture every year. And that's why our work together is so important. So in 1996, the United States Congress said, yes, agriculture is a nationally significant story that needs to be told and preserved. So they designated 37 counties in Northeast Iowa to tell that story. Now, you may be saying, okay, agriculture is found in every state across the United States, and yes, but it is because of the firsts that happened right here in Iowa that they said, yes, Iowa, you are the best place to preserve and share the story of American agriculture. So it was pure politics, why it's the northeast part of the state. The boundaries are I-35 and I-80. So that what I like to say is the northeast quadrant of the state is the national heritage area of Silos and Smokestacks. And Silos and Smokestacks, our name is because they're the bookends of the agriculture story, the two big towers, so to speak, the two big silos on the farm to the smokestacks that make those products into things that consumers can buy and use. So back to each, whoops, wrong way. So each one of those red dots are what we call a designated heritage site of the heritage area. That is a place where you can go visit and learn everything in the whole spectrum of agriculture, from what Iowa looked like when the first European settlers moved here, to the indigenous culture of what agriculture looked like, to the John Deere Tractor Engine Museum that's behind my shoulder out the windows, and everything in between. So the programs that we have here at Silos and Smokestacks is we work with those sites in getting designated. They have to fit certain requirements to be designated as a site. We help them with their programs. What stories are they telling there, and how? That's the interpretive services. Are they doing first person narrative with people in costume, like they sometimes do at Living History Farms, or are they interpretive panels at the site that can serve the public at no matter what time, if it might be outside those open hours that a person can get to. Then we have our individual program awards. They don't like us saying the words grants when we're affiliated with the Park Service. They just get all confused about that. That's another topic for another time. And then education and marketing and awareness, but we'll get to those bottom two if we have time. But for just clarity's sake on how a site gets designated, we look at the location and the accessibility. My past life, I was in county conservation and parks, and it's amazing how many people are question, who do I really want to go down that gravel road? So those things play into it. What's the interpretation at the site? Is the story significant and authentic? Is it going to be told anywhere else? Can it be told anywhere else? Is it already being told somewhere else? And what is that longevity of that story being told? Does the board have does the site have a good board behind it? Is it going to be around for the long haul? So once the site determines they meet those requirements, then we ask them to dig a little deeper in the story that they tell agriculturally. Where does it fit amongst these 6 themes? And I'm proud to say we have close to, or right at, 110 heritage sites, and most of them tell multiple stories that fit in various places of these themes. I would safely say not one site only tells a story that fits under one of these themes. So that's something that we've worked hard with our sites to expand and see what all they could tell. So since my location that I'm here in Waterloo is just the headquarters, the stories being told at the sites, those 110 sites, I thought I'd take time and show those to you, because part of the relationship that we've had with Iowa Agriculture Literacy Foundation is assisting with the teacher workshops in the summer and helping identify sites that you could take these teachers to. So I thought it might be worthwhile just to highlight a few and then encourage you to go to silosandsmokestacks.org on our website. I put that on the bottom of each of the slides. And our online visitor guide is there, so you can look through it and see what sites might be close to you as you're developing programs for your teachers, for the public that you serve, and the workshops that you might be putting on. One of the biggest ones, and probably you would say, oh yes, is Living History Farms in Urbandale, one of the largest sites that we work with. The Wallace Centers of Iowa in Des Moines, telling the story of the Wallaces. If you don't know that story, you need to. That's a big backbone of Iowa agriculture in Iowa. Here in the Waterloo Cedar Falls area is Hanson's Dairy. They're heritage farms, have been in the family for over 150 years. A very unique story of how they grew to allow all their sons and daughters to be a part of the farm. The Ice House Museum in Cedar Falls, the only museum that you can actually go into that tells the ice story in an authentic ice house itself. And then they also talk about our great education here in Iowa through a one-room schoolhouse. Hawkeye Buffalo and Cattle Ranch in Fredericksburg. You can get in a wagon and go through the pasture and feed the bison and learn the history of bison throughout North America. The Wapsipinicon Mill in Independence. There's also a motor mill up in Elkader that is a heritage site. Telling about the milling industry in Iowa. Hands-on interpretation there. That's one of the things about all the sites. They have great interpreters and docents that encourage hands-on interaction. The Fossil and Prairie Park Preserve and Center in Rockford, and by that name, and if you work with a lot of teachers, you know it as the place that kids go for fossil hunting and their dinosaur unit. But what they don't realize, and some don't take time to, is because the reason the quarry is there is because of the brick and tile company that was located there, and that those are the beehive kilns in the back, and the millions of egg drainage tile that was made there that they put in hand before the large plastic. And that's why they can find those fossils, is they needed that blue shale clay to make those drainage tiles. So a great egg story, kind of hidden amongst another well-known feature. I do know this was part of a teacher workshop for a couple of years, the Titan Farm number 6 up in Dougherty. This Emil Titan, that's the man in the picture, started, I believe it was 8 different farms in the Dougherty area, so south of Mason City. And they were kind of experiment farms. During the Great Depression, he bought all these farms, hired people to live on them and do different experiments on those, and what worked for livestock production, what best practices for raising certain types of crops. So amazing story there. Kinsey down by Williamsburg, and the innovation of just one man that was the known fix-it shop. The guy that knew how to tinker and how to fix things and overcome farmers' problems came into this billion worldwide known Kinsey manufacturing that started out with the grain carts and now have one of the fastest planters that the farmers use to put the crops in. So just a wonderful facility to go see that if you haven't gone and toured that. I highly recommend. A different story that you wouldn't think is in Iowa, but is part of agriculture and is agriculture in other states, is lumber and woods. And when I was first settled, we had a lot of woodlands and forests. And so down in Clinton, is the Sawmill Museum, and they tell that story there. And one of my favorites, they're all my favorites, but I guess I discovered this one when I was young and with my parents, Seed Savers Exchange in Decorah. They have the heirloom variety of seeds. You can go and buy those seed packets, and you can learn the history of where those seeds came from. That's the part that I like. And then all of their beautiful demonstration gardens that they have around their visitor center, and that's that barn-like building in the background of this picture with the flowers in the foreground. They have usually flower gardens, and then they have vegetable gardens, and then a very heritage apple orchard also hidden amongst amongst their landscape behind the scenes. And then also up in the northeast part, Norman Borlaug birthplace and boyhood farms near Cresco, Iowa, telling a story about Norman Borlaug and the work he did with wheat and feeding starving nations. So each of those sites that I showed, those are just a sampling, but I'm proud to say that each of those sites I've worked with, looked and shadowed their presentations when they have school groups. And if they haven't already done it themselves, I go through the Iowa Corps and identify what they're hitting through their presentations and through their field trips, so that they can pass that information on to the teachers, who can pass it on to administrators to validate a field trip to their sites. So if any of those sites, and when you're on in the visitor guide, or if you had one in copy, or you see it on the website, go to their site, ask their staff, their volunteers, if they have that information for you. They also, a lot of them have their own tab on their own website, and you can get that through the visitor guide, a link taking you directly to their site. They have a lot of sources for educators, and you can use them just as well as you're forming your own presentations to take to classrooms. So hopefully this presentation leads you to some sites that you didn't know, and hopefully you can form a relationship or contact me. I'd be happy to contact you with their educators that they have on staff, or their key volunteer that run those sites and help you. And then I do put out our own newsletter to the educators, and then I help promote your summer teacher trainings that you have in the summer. So if you are hosting one of those, let me know, and I'll send them out on our newsletter too, so you can get as many teachers to participate as possible. A couple of resources that we have that I wanted to share with you that hopefully you can use yourselves or pass them on to the teachers that you work with, is our Camp Silos website. It's just Camp Silos, as you see in the upper left-hand corner, .org. And it's I'm from the generation of the Choose Your Own Adventure books. And so this website is kind of set up that way. And as you can see, there's primary sources, information that's relevant today, with resources that people, and you, when I say people, I mean teachers, can go to. And plus it's very interactive, lots of games, mystery games, things like that. We also, with our partnership and with our sites, we worked with the Grout Museum District, located here in Waterloo, to capture farmer stories. And I wanted you all to have that link, because there's over 100 videos of farmers captured telling first-person oral histories, and they're all organized by hometowns, by communities. So wherever you're from, or if you know a family name you want to look them up this way and watch the video. They're everything from what it's like to combine, to what it was like to collect eggs and have that money to go to the store to buy supplies, everything and anything. It was just too many topics covered in each of the videos to outline one specific topic that they covered, but I wanted to let you know this resource is out there for you to capture some first-person narratives from. The main office where I'm talking to you from tonight is downtown Waterloo, 305 West Park Avenue. We're right next to the Waterloo Convention Center. Please come see us. We have a little visitor center inside to help start your experience of the heritage area, and then help everybody get out to those sites and experience those firsthand agricultural opportunities. So come see us. I'll open it to any questions if we have time. Alexandra. Here's
Yeah,
my
for sure.
contact information. Yeah.
It looks like we did have one question in the chat.
Okay.
Just asking for that farmer stories list. Is that on the Silos website as well?
No, it is just at the Grout Museum. I can go back to that so everybody can, or I can even try to copy and paste it. Chat. Let's see if what happens. Everybody still see this? I can show it a little bit here. So when if you would just Google, this is how I found it. I just put Farmer Stories Grout Museum, Waterloo, Iowa. And the first Google choice, it'll take you right to this Voices of Iowa page. When you scroll down a little bit, right in this box
We
is
are
where
still seeing your
you can't see
presentation,
it.
Laura. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. Let me see if I try this one. How about now? Now you should be able to see it. Okay.
Yep.
So you just, like I said, Grout Museum District, and then scroll down, you'll see Ted and Judy from Tyden Farms. And then right here, just click. They also collect veteran stories. So if you have a personal interest in stories from World War II veterans, Korean veterans, Vietnam veterans, you can go and select those stories. But farmer stories, go in and click and watch a video. It'll bring up the video right here. They're a minute, maybe at the most 2 minutes. And they'll give a brief description under their name, what they're talking about. So there is that resource for everybody.
And then would you mind showing us the Silos website itself and then kind of how to
Sure.
access some of the things that you were talking about?
Happy to. So I guess I'll start right here. I'll just go to the website itself. So this is the website that you come to, what it'll look like. Excuse me. Explore is the tab that you want to go to for sites and attractions to find a list of everybody that I mentioned. It's all alphabetical. They are broken into 3 main areas: prairies and wild places. So that is a lot of the conservation board areas that talk about prairie and conservation. And that's a big part of the stories that you folks also tell. So that would be a place to find those places. Agriculture and industry, those are more of the museums and the active farms today and wineries. And islands and their heritage is more of the people stories, our ancestor stories. Go there, but educate is where you can find the most things. Here's the link to Camp Silos, where you can find that website and tool around in there and have fun. I won't take time to do that tonight because it's almost like going down a rabbit hole. You get going into too many places and you forget where you've been. But also this, just so you guys can, I hope, help me get the words out. This is also where people can find information about our field trip program award. We have this that's open until tomorrow for teachers to apply to help take their kids to any heritage site, farm site, agribusiness within the 37 counties of the heritage area. Fortunately and unfortunately, we're so popular, we don't have much funding left. If the applications that are still in progress tonight come in tomorrow, we'll have awarded all our funding that's available for this school year. But we have this application open every August of the start of every school year. So if you would share that with the teachers that you would work with, that's another way that we can help get them some hands-on experiences with Iowa agriculture. Catherine, I see you have your hand up.
Do, and I'm in the car, so excuse the background noise. But I was just curious about that field trip grant. I know that's normally like for it to pay for the bus. What if it's a place that's like really far away? Could it pay for like a farm chat or anything, or is it mainly just the bus for the field trip?
It is just the transportation fees. So yeah, we can't cover, it's not made to cover fees for a farm chat to cover that. Let's see, I'm in Dallas County. Is Polk County the closest place for you? Yes, Polk County would be closest, or even Story if you want to venture a little further. And Jasper is just down the road, not too far.
Perfect. And we do have about 2 more minutes if anyone has any final questions.
So thanks again. Alexandra has my contact information. I'd be happy to help you link to any of the sites in and around you and just be that first connection to help you establish relationships with sites that you can work with in your area. So happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. And thanks again, Alexandra, for having me tonight.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Laura. It was great to learn more about what silos can do for ag in the classroom. And just a reminder for everyone that we do have these coffee talks once a month on the third Thursdays from 4:30 to 5. And our January coffee talk will be about hosting a summer workshop. So maybe you can take some of the information you learned today and some that you'll learn in January and kind of combine that into some summer workshop plans. But thank you again to Laura for coming and presenting today, and thank you else for everyone else for joining us.